أهلا بكم مشاهدي العربية إلى هذه المقابلة الخاصة مع وزيرة الخارجية الألمانية أنالينا بيربوك خلال زيارتها إلى الشرق الأوسط، والتي ستتحدث فيها عن حرب غزة، عن الموقف الألماني والوساطة الألمانية بين أطراف النزاع، عن التهديد الحوثي في الشرق الأوسط، وعن احتمالية توسع نطاق ودائرة الصراع على الجبهة الشمالية. أهلا وسهلا بك معالي وزيرة الخارجية الألمانية أنالينا بيربوك، وشكرا لك على هذه المقابلة الخاصة مع قناة العربية.
Thank you for having me in this interview. It's very important for me to be here.
معالي الوزيرة، الموقف الألماني اليوم من حرب غزة هو موقف داعم جدا للموقف الإسرائيلي، لا بل متقدم حتى على الموقف الأوروبي والأمريكي. لماذا اليوم ألمانيا تدعم إلى هذا الحد إسرائيل؟ وهل هناك شيء ما خلف هذا الدعم له علاقة بتاريخ اليهود داخل ألمانيا؟
Before October 7th, there was a Hutna, and Hamas broke it by killing children, by raping women, by taking families as hostages. And with that one, we saw suffering which I think is out of reach. I heard you're a mother, I'm a mother myself. Imagining that my little daughter would have been kidnapped, I don't know what I would do afterwards. But also seeing now children, little children like my own, being in Gaza without any family left, not knowing where to find food and not knowing where to find water, is breaking my heart. And therefore, myself, not only as a foreign minister, but as a mother as well, I'm trying to end the suffering for everybody, for Israelis, and end the suffering for Palestinians.
How?
Because we know how. Being ready to end the suffering for both. And I think this is what brought us in this very tricky situation, because Hamas says even now that they won't stop to fight Israel until Israel doesn't exist anymore. And if there's not an outcry in the world, but especially in the neighborhood, that Hamas has to lay down its weapon, Israel has to keep on defending itself. And this is why what we are doing is to call on everybody in the world who believes in peace, that we have to, first of all, see the suffering on both sides. A child in Israel is as important as a child in Gaza. Means also being ready to fight for the security for both. And this is what I make clear also to my Israeli friends again and again. Israel can only live in security if Palestinians live in security. But this means also Palestinians can only live in security if Israel lives in security. And what we are doing is with partners here also in the Arab world, like UAE, like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, to speak about how could this peace for both be possible, and I would say only with a two-state solution.
اليوم السؤال الأساسي هو اليوم التالي بعد الحرب. كيف تنظر ألمانيا للحل السياسي لهذه الأزمة؟ وأكدتم أكثر من مرة وحتى الأمريكيين والأوروبيين بأنه يجب أن يكون هناك دور أساسي للسلطة بحكم القطاع. كيف يمكن للسلطة أن تحكم القطاع بعد أكثر من عقد من التنكيل بها والتهميش بدورة بالداخل والقضية الفلسطينية؟
I think, and this is maybe also changing with, I would say, a more view, maybe also as a mother, that foreign politics for me is not only about governments. Sometimes government do the worst to their own citizens. So foreign politics for me is about the people. So for us, our support for the PA authorities in the West Bank, our support also for UNRWA is the support for the Palestinian people, for children, for women, for men, the normal population. And this is why we increased at the moment of this horrible war our support for the civilian people in Gaza, but also our support for Palestinian people in the neighboring region. And this is not in contradiction to making also very clear that we increased our support for the right of self-defense of Israel. Why? Again, because it's about the people also in Israel. We can only bring back all those children, men, women, being kidnapped if we are focusing everything on the human.
بحسب تصريحاتكم الرسمية بأن هذه العملية العسكرية الإسرائيلية اليوم هي رداً على عملية حماس، وهذا ما تقولينه الآن أيضاً بالمنطق الألماني، ولكن نحن نتحدث عن أكثر من 15,000 شخص قتلوا منذ بداية هذه العملية العسكرية وحتى الآن، غير المفقودين، غير الناس يعني المدنيين الذين يعانون اليوم من تشوهات، من إعاقات، الذين فقدوا كل شيء، كل مقومات الحياة. وبالتالي هل الرد الإسرائيلي اليوم متناسب مع حجم العملية، عملية حماس في 7 أكتوبر؟
Israel is not fighting innocent civilian Palestinians. Israel is fighting a terrorist organization because on October 7th, as I said, Hamas was doing a different step than before. There was the Hutna before, and then they started killing innocent children. And we have to speak about this as well, and this is why probably this is also a question here in the region. Why did we vote this or that with some resolutions? If we are not ready to see the whole complex picture, we will never end the suffering, because we can only end the suffering if we are seeing both sides. And this is why for me it's so important to always underline there was an aggressor, and this was the terrorist organization Hamas. Israel is using the international right of self-defense, which every country in the world has the right to defend itself. But there's also the international law
معالي الوزيرة، اليوم بالأرقام أكثر من 95% من الضحايا هم من المدنيين وليسوا من أي جهة أخرى، وتحديدا من الأطفال والنساء. وهنا البعض يعتبر بأنها مجزرة وبأنها عملية إبادة جماعية. كيف يعني تقنعين الرأي العام العالمي اليوم بوجهة النظر الألمانية؟
If we are supporting international law, we are supporting the whole international law. So we are supporting the international law of right of self-defense, which every country in the world has, and the international law, which says that if you're defending yourself because you're forced to, you have to do everything to protect civilians. And believe me, I'm telling this also to our Israeli friends again and again. You have to do everything to protect civilians, and you do not only have to protect them in theory but also in reality. And this is why I said lately again, there needs to be better protection of civilians in Gaza. There needs to be more humanitarian aid. I visited here in Dubai the hub from the World Food Programme, which is distributing the humanitarian aid to Gaza, because I also cannot stand one day longer seeing people starving to death in Gaza because there's not enough humanitarian aid coming in. Every Palestinian, not only child, mother, father, brother, son, nephew, has a right to food. This is about human rights. Every person has a right to food, a right to water, and this is why I came here to show that Germany tripled its humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza, because we not only believe in human rights, we want to do also in the most difficult situation, and sorry for repeating myself, but whoever says this is just easy, we just have to call on Israel to stop and then everything stops, I think it's not caring about the people. I do care about them, and this is why we are trying to do everything to end the suffering for the people in Gaza with more support of humanitarian aid.
ألمانيا قادت مفاوضات بين كل من حزب الله والجانب الإسرائيلي بموضوع الرهائن سابقا. هل يمكن اليوم مع ما يحصل من خطر لتمدد وتوسع الصراع على الجبهة الشمالية أن تقود ألمانيا مساعي جديدة لإنهاء يعني خطر توسع هذا الصراع هناك والوصول إلى تسوية سياسية بهذه المنطقة تحديدا، أتحدث بين حزب الله وبين إسرائيل؟ وماذا عن تطبيق القرار 1701؟ اليوم الجانب الفرنسي هناك العديد من يعني الآراء الدولية تنادي بضرورة إعادة تطبيق القرار 1701 لتجنيب هذه الجبهة خطر الاشتعال وأن تمتد على المنطقة بالأكمل. كيف ينظر الجانب الألماني لهذا الطرح اليوم، وهو هل هو قابل للتحقيق؟
First part of the question, there are still so many people in the hands of terrorists, and again I always imagine what it would mean for me if my daughter would be still in the hands of terrorists, not knowing if she's still alive, not knowing if she's been raped as a teenager. So I'm trying to do everything that all the hostages can be free, and I'm really thankful, I must say this, especially to Qatar, but also to others like UAE, like the Saudis, that they have been so outspoken and underlining that all the hostages have to be freed. And this is also one of the parts why we can not only call for a general ceasefire, pretending as if Israel wouldn't use its rights to self-defense anymore, then everything would be fine. There are still the hostages in the hands of terrorists. They have to be freed. We have still the situation that there's a non-stop attack coming from Hamas, but also coming from Houthis and coming from Hezbollah. So this is the important thing. The other important thing, what I'm doing is doing everything to help with Arabic partners to end the humanitarian suffering, and that we come back to humanitarian pauses. We have seen that within the humanitarian pauses, where there were no hostilities, people could at least breathe again. And this is our strong call. We need humanitarian pauses now, and everybody who believes that we want to end the suffering and is working for ending the suffering for both sides, I think has to follow
هنا اسمحي لي، ماذا عن القرار وتطبيق القرار 1701؟
Again, in theory, like with 1701 resolution, but also with other theories, we know how we could end the suffering in making clear that two neighbors shouldn't attack oneself, that military forces have to withdraw from dangerous border lines. And obviously, if everybody would stick to 1701, there wouldn't be a danger that this horrible war would also fuel other escalations in the region. And this is another part. We have to do everything to prevent that this war is spreading in the neighborhoods, because I have been traveling not only to Israel in the last 7 weeks 3 times. I traveled also to UAE, to Qatar, to Saudi Arabia, to Jordan, to Egypt, to make clear to all our friends here in the Arabic world, we want peace for the whole region.
بموازاة حرب غزة، هناك اليوم خطر أساسي في المنطقة هو خطر الحوثي والتهديد الذي يشكل على الملاحة الدولية بالمنطقة والعالم. هل ستنضمون إلى المبادرة الأمريكية التي أعلن عنها جيك سوليفان مستشار الأمن القومي حول تشكيل قوة عسكرية بحرية للتصدي لطبعا هجمات الحوثي، وهل تعتبرون بأن إيران هي من تقف وراء هذه الهجمات؟
Thank you for raising this question, because you see also with the Houthi attacks that this is obviously a coordinated situation of those who deny the right of Israel to exist. And this is why it's so important for me, and I'm asking my Arab colleagues to also speak out on this, that Israel has a right not only to exist, but has the right to protect its existence by self-defense. And as long as this attacking, but also this vocally saying also from Iran that Israel does not have a right to exist, it's going on, there won't be peace in the Middle East.
من الصراع في المنطقة اسمح لي أن أنتقل إلى الصراع الأوكراني الروسي. اليوم نحن على أبواب الذكرى الثانية للحرب، وبدأت بوادر التعب الأوروبي من دعم أوكرانيا بدأت تظهر، لاحظناها بمواقف كثيرة إن كان بولندية وإن كان غيرها. هل اليوم ألمانيا أيضا بدأت تشعر بالتعب من دعم أوكرانيا عسكريا؟ هل ستقدمون لها مزيد من الدعم إن كان الصواريخ أو الدبابات أو حتى أي مساعدات أخرى ممكن أن يطلبها الجانب الأوكراني؟
Yes, as we do support civilian population in Gaza, as we do support Israel with its rights defense, we are supporting Ukraine with the same understanding. Innocent people who are being attacked by an aggressor cannot be let alone. And this is why we keep on supporting Ukraine as long as it needs. Russia has invaded without any reason at all its neighboring countries. It's attacking schools, it's attacking hospitals there, and I want to make this also very clear, because I'm always fan of a very open debate. I have heard the argument, so what is the difference with regard to Gaza? Well, there are no Ukrainian terrorists hiding in schools or hiding in hospitals. Hamas is misusing innocent Palestinians as a human shield because be able to do their terrorist attack. Russia has invaded Ukraine, who didn't do anything, where children just went to school freely as your children here and my children back at home. And yes, this is why we help Ukraine to protect its people as long as it takes.
شكرا لك معالي وزيرة الخارجية الألمانية أنالينا بيربوك على تخصيص هذا الوقت لنا بالرغم من وقتك وبرنامجك الضيق جدا. شكرا جزيلا على وجودك معنا في قناة العربية. مشاهدينا، إلى هنا أختم هذه المقابلة الخاصة مع وزيرة الخارجية الألمانية أنالينا بيربوك. كانت معكم ليال الاختيار. إلى اللقاء.